Welcome to Strategical Web TV. Today we have very important guest from United States, Muqtedar Professor from Delaware University. Welcome to Turkey, welcome to Konya.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
First, I want to start with Donald Trump. What do you think about, Donald Trump is going to become a president for the United States?
I hope not. What Donald Trump is probably going to achieve is that he's going to make Hillary the president of the United States, but hopefully he is also going to make the Republicans lose the Senate and the Congress even. Right now the Republicans have a majority in the lower house of the parliament and the upper house also, which is very critical for appointing judges to the Supreme Court, the confirmation of ambassadors, etc. So what is going to happen on November 8th is when Americans go to poll and they look at the ballot will be long ballot. On top of the ballot they will see Donald Trump, and there is this fear that it will turn voters away from the Republican Party. So not only the Republican presidential candidate, but Senate candidates, Congress candidates who are running for other offices may also lose as a result of this down ballot effect, as it is called. Right now, we have this very peculiar situation in the US where 70% of all Americans absolutely despise Donald Trump, and 60% don't like Hillary Clinton. So it's not an election of which person you like, but we will be electing the person we dislike the least. So it's like this very unusual election. So in that sense, there is one such circumstance, one situation under which I think Donald Trump could become the president of the United States. And if that is if some Muslim commits an act of terror just in time before the election, like the San Bernardino shooting that happened in California, if something like that were to happen in October, then it is quite possible that it could trigger a lot of independents and maybe even Democrats who could get really upset and realize that maybe America needs the kind of things that Donald Trump is talking about. That's my fear. There are other analysts and other professors who fear that in spite of even if such a thing were to happen, God forbid, maybe Americans would still not vote for Donald Trump because he's so un-American in his rhetoric on many of the issues.
Especially, that ISIL attacks in Europe, in Paris, in Belgium, and also a lot of young people from European countries, from United States, from Japan, a lot of young people joined to ISIL. What do you think about it?
Well, ISIL is a very interesting phenomenon. It has been tremendously more successful than Al-Qaeda in recruitment. And it's not even recruiting from European countries. So the estimates from some sources are that there are more than 3,500 to maybe even 5,000 Europeans alone who have joined ISIL, and more than 1,500 friends. Not only have they joined ISIL, but some of them have actually returned back to their base countries in Europe. So ISIL probably has sleeper cells in these countries. But even from the Muslim world, I think that one of the biggest providers of manpower to ISIL is Tunisia, and there are lots of Turks also who have left Turkey and joined ISIL. One of the suicide bombers, I think, in Istanbul was of Turkish origin. So yes, ISIL seems to have a lot of appeal. I think it's most important, there are two things that contribute to its success. One is its use of social media. It's very good at using YouTube videos, Twitter, especially Twitter and Facebook. And so by using these technological and digital tools which go into the hand of young people, ISIS has access to the youth, especially in developed countries, far more than any other organization ever did. But the fact that they are able to conquer territory and hold it, and actually declare a caliphate and establish whatever they have, the fact that they have a physical entity, unlike Al-Qaeda never had that. So it is this possession of land which can be presented as a country, I think is the greatest success of ISIL. And also the reason why there is so much appeal for success. In the last 3-4 years, about 250 Americans have gone and joined ISIL. And many of them, some of them who have been arrested on airports, etc., it is clear that they are not thinking of joining just to fight. Some are thinking of becoming policemen. One person who was arrested on an airport said that he wanted to become a pharmaceutical salesman. So they were migrating to the country that is ISIL, not necessarily in their view joining a terrorist organization. But I think the recruitment in some of the European countries has been clearly in the military sense, that they are joining there to fight jihad against the West and establish an Islamic State or whatever they think we are trying to achieve.
You know, Oliver Roy has a comment relating ISIL. According to Oliver Roy, Islam is not living under the radicalization process. Most radical people living radicalization process, and this process can be described Islamization. So, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm not familiar with that argument, even though I'm familiar with Oliver Roy's work. If he's trying to suggest that Islam as a religion does not radicalize people, that is true. I'm a practicing Muslim and I'm not ready to blow myself up or kill anybody. I haven't even killed a rat in the last 20 years. So, yes, clearly, I mean, there are billions of innocent, peace-loving, peaceful Muslims all over the world who are practicing the religion and quite devoutly too. So the idea that Islam is necessarily radicalized and clearly debunked by millions of Muslims. But the question really remains is that there is a particular interpretation of Islam, the Salafi jihadi interpretation, which seems to have recruits to it. So there is a dual thing going on. There is some kind of disenchantment in European societies, so where people are experiencing the promise of modernity hasn't been realized in their lives. So they are feeling alienation. They are living in democracies but still feeling discrimination. They are supposed to be living in religious and secular societies, but they are experiencing religious discrimination. So there is a sense of alienation among some of the youth, among Muslim populations in Western Europe. And then with the rise of Islamophobia, they feel that the world is against Islam, so it is having that kind of a desire of helplessness and anger at the situation that they are in their existential conditions, and so maybe they are inspired to go and join ISIS because they feel that's the only way in which they can respond to these conditions. But there is another thing to this phenomenon which kind of makes it difficult to fully accept this argument, and that is the presence that in some parts many of these people who are joining ISIS are actually converts to Islam. So they were not Islam Muslim. I was listening to an FBI presentation on counter-radicalization, and they were arguing that the time period from when a person converts to Islam and joins a group like ISIL in the past used to be 2.5 years, now it's become 7 months. So within 7 months, people are converting, not just converting, they are coming into contact with ISIL on the internet. So within 7 months, they're converting, getting radicalized, and going and joining. So this is a rapid wind. I mean, that means ISIL has got so much better at recruitment that they're converting people to whatever Islam they are preaching. But who are these people? Who are these Westerners, these young Western people who are, it's not just men, they're also women, who are leaving these so-called wonderful, liberal, democratic, and secular societies and going and joining ISIL in spite of all the negative coverage of ISIL in Western media. So it's a sociologically a very fascinating and perplexing and frightening thing for Western societies.
My last question, what is the main solution against radicalization process?
Well, there is no silver bullet. There is no one solution, there is no silver bullet. There are many things. See, there are some clearly obvious instances of injustice that have been done, like the case of the Palestinians. America's war in Iraq, which was clearly an unjust war, and its consequences have been so horrible to the region. So there are these injustices that need to be addressed. That's one case. The second thing is that there are lots of sociological factors of intolerance, of culture of intolerance, culture of hating the other, extremism against Muslims, from Muslims, and so on. So that is an element there which further aggravates the situation. And then there are economic problems, unemployment, the failure of the governance. The states are corrupt, the governments are not able to provide good governance. Across the board, you see collapse of state after state after state. Iraq is a failed state, Somalia is a failed state, Afghanistan is a failed state, Pakistan to some extent is a failed state, Syria is completely failed state. You can look in Northern Africa, Tunisia is probably one of the few things that look positive. So there is a failure of governance across the board in the Muslim world. There is a failure of adjusting to the modern world, which is moving so fast. Countries are developing so fast. Such wonderful things are happening to certain sections of the population in the world, and the others who are able to see this through social media and global media are falling behind. So there are global resentment is also a phenomenon. So what we need to do is that those who are concerned about radicalization, governments, civil society agencies, religious interfaith organizations have to come together and perform a complex task of addressing all these possible things, creating employment for youth, addressing issues of social injustice. There are injustices not only in the international level, but in America, for example, right now there is growing awareness of racial injustices, income inequality. So the world is moving into a period where there are lots of, shall we say, instances or lots of forces which are tearing the social fabric apart. And so we really have to work hard on fixing many of these holes. It's like a ship with several holes, and you can't save the ship by trying to fix just one hole. And I think that's the story of counter-radicalization, that we have to build the capacity to govern, we have to build the capacity to tolerate. So you're developing civil society, you're developing religious sensibility, then you're developing capacity to...
Thank you very much, dear Professor. Thank you very much for watching the class.
Thank you. Was that happy?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.